for TTN-HD Production Live, here with Dan Mirvish, the man who changed Oscar rules. Dan, tell me about your film, How to Win an Oscar Award.
Right, How to Win an Oscar Award, which you can see on YouTube. It's about a 15-minute short documentary. Is all about the crazy, quixotic adventure we had a few years ago in trying to resuscitate the Oscar category Best Original Musical. Best Original Musical, you say, what's that? Well, there really is an Oscar category called Best Original Musical that has never been activated, but it's on the books of the Academy. So a few years ago, myself and a few other filmmakers, including Trey Parker, Matt Stone, Neil Young, it was a very strange collection of people, we got together and we tried to bring that category back. And you can read the whole story on, again, on YouTube if you go to How to Win an Oscar Award. And if you think that Oscar campaigning can get a little crazy for a single film, you will be amazed at what we pulled off to resuscitate a category.
Great, thank you so much. Okay. Tell me about your Oscar campaign.
Funny you should ask, Katie. So a few years ago, I had made one of my last films was called Open House. It was a real estate musical with Sally Kellerman, who's an Oscar nominee, and Anthony Rapp from Rent. And we were playing the festival circuit, and we hadn't quite gotten distribution yet. Distributors were interested, but they didn't really commit to it. And I was getting a little depressed about it. And I got a call out of the blue from a friend of mine at Miramax. She says, Dan, have you heard about this Oscar category called Best Original Musical? I said, Best Original Musical? That's crazy talk. I've never heard of such a thing. And she says, no, it's a real category that the Academy has. It's like rule number 16 or something like that. And what it states is that if in a given year there are 5 original musicals, and they have to be truly original, they can't be based on a stage play, they can't have unoriginal music, they have to be truly original films with music in it. And there's all these other rules. They have to be at least 5 songs, have to be the same screenwriting team, all these archaic rules. Anyway, but if there are 5, the Academy activates a category and 3 of them get nominated. I was like, wow, that's pretty good odds. And it turned out my film, Open House, just by sheer coincidence, fit exactly these rules. It was an original musical. Now, Miramax thought that they had 2 films that were going to be eligible, so they were looking for some other films to fill out the category. It turns out neither of the Miramax films were eligible. But by this point, she put this great idea in my head. So I found a couple other films, including Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who I kind of knew a little bit through Slamdance. They had just done Team America World Police at Paramount. Disney had an animated musical called Home on the Range, which was a little bit of a flop for them, but music by Alan Menken, who's won like 8 Oscars. So we got Alan and Disney to submit, and then I'd worked a little bit with Neil Young before, and Neil had just done an obscure little film called Greendale, and that was eligible. So between those 3 films and my film, we had 4 films, and we needed 1 more. And this is in August of, I think, 2004, and the deadline for the Academy is December 1st. So I thought, well, clearly I have to make another movie myself. So, but I was getting ready to go to a film I was still busy with the festival circuit for Open House. I was getting ready to go to a festival in Oldenburg, Germany, that a friend of mine runs out there. So I said, okay, well, let's just shoot another film in Germany. We'll make another musical in Germany. So I went with one of my actors, a guy named Robert Peters, and we came up with an improvisable storyline. We got a bunch of terrific German actors and German rock stars who were all going to the festival to get involved. Actually, some pretty big names out there. And we wrote about a dozen songs just to make sure we were safe. In like 2 weeks, we'd knock them out. Everyone sang live. The camera crew was basically me, and the sound and the light was a little 6-inch mag light. We shot this film in 9 days in Germany, and then we were like, oh, we have a layover in Paris. We'll shoot a day in Paris. But it was a little bit like the producers. We couldn't make it too good because then it would take votes away from my film. So we had to make a bad German musical in 10 days. And I think we did, So we cut it together, slapped together a version, ran up the stairs of the Academy, 4:55 p.m. I don't know, the elevator wasn't working. We're running up the stairs, and we slap our DVD, or I don't know, maybe it was a VHS, on the table, and we said, okay, here's the 5th film. Where's this category? And the Academy was like, oh my God, you guys did it. You pulled it off. We did not expect that, because we've been telling them that we were going to do this because they're such sticklers for the rules. And so they were like, oh dear, we really didn't want this category. We didn't think anyone would really do this. So the Board of Governors met, Tom Hanks and all these fancy people, and they were like, what do you mean we have this category? They didn't even know they had the category, because what it was the music branch had put it in like in the early 90s when all the Disney animated films kept winning the music awards, like Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. And so they carved this category out thinking no one would ever touch it again. So the Board of Governors was like, oh dear, now what do we do? So they looked at who the nominees were, and it was like, well, Trey and Matt showed up in dresses the last time they were nominated. Neil Young didn't show up the last time he was nominated. Alan Menken already has enough Oscars. He's got 8 of them or something. And this Mirvish kid, he shows up, with 2 films whose combined budgets don't add up to the cost of an Oscar gift basket. So they were like, so we're just going to cancel the category. And we're like, how can you just cancel the category? We followed every rule, every little archaic rule. And I said, well, there are our Oscars, our rules. We can just cancel the category if we want to. We're like, really? And they're like, yeah, really. See ya. Screw you. And so that was very disappointing. Now the upside is that we actually got a fair bit of press for it. Reuters picked up the story and ran all over the world at the time. And that press wound up getting us distribution for Open House. Ironically, it wound up with the Weinstein Company. And then even the German film, my partner on that, Robert Peters, wound up recutting it for the next year, and it turned out pretty good. It had a festival run, and it got distribution. So, it proves that there's a lot of stupid reasons to make a movie, and we found one. And the funny part is the category is still on the books. If you go to Oscar.com or the Academy Awards official website, look up Rule 16. Maybe it's Rule 17. But anyway, it's still there. Now they've changed it a little. It has to be more than 5 films in any one year, and it's a little bit more specifically at their discretion. They kind of wrote that into the rule now. But we literally changed the rules of the Academy.
Yeah. Not many people can say that.
Not very many people can, and say it proudly and embarrass the Academy along the way. So every year when I see that there's some musicals, I think to myself, well, they're not going to fit in that category, or they should fit in the category, or they need 2 more films. But I think one year some bright young kid is going to make 9 musicals, and one of them will be good, and they're going to have to let him in. So that is so when you watch the Academy Awards, you will notice that there is no Best Musical category this year.
Well, I'll be sure to tweet that I wanted a Best Musical category.
There we go. Absolutely, yeah. No, definitely tweet it. And you can see even this year they have this there's this controversy because there's only 2 songs nominated, and that's kind of because the music branch is a little bit left to their own devices and don't get a lot of supervision from the Board of Governors, and I saw that happen a few years ago, and it's happened again this year with the Best Song category too.
Well, thank you so much, Dan, for your insight into the Academy.
Yes, no, my pleasure. No, I love the Academy, and I give them a lot of respect, but they've had their quirks over the years.
And what's the best place to check out your work online, and the Slamdance site as well?
Well, Slamdance you can check out at slamdance.com. It's the easiest way, but also just kind of do a search, because a lot of Slamdance filmmakers post their own things. There's a lot of great footage out there about the sledding competition, the sled off, and the hot tub summit. The important things that any festival has. But at slamdance.com you can start to find some of those things. And then my own work, I have a website at joanneuhlmannchats.com, and it hasn't been updated in a while, but Facebook is a good way, and Vimeo is also good. I've got a lot of stuff on Vimeo right now, so just do a search for Dan Mirvish and you'll find all kinds of dubious things.
Hey, well, thank you so much, Dan, and best of luck with Slamdance and your upcoming